It's time, Cougar Nation. Cougar Tracks. The best season analysis with BYU insider Mitch Harper on KSL NewsRadio and on video every day on the YouTube page for KSL Sports.
Welcome into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube and KSL NewsRadio, your legacy home of the Cougars. It's Thursday, February 5th, and I am your BYU insider, Mitch Harper. Happy to have you on board of the show wherever you're watching or listening to the program today. Loaded show for you. BYU football head coach Kalani Sitake. My one-on-one conversation with him. You'll hear that. But first, BYU basketball. They got to get things fixed in a hurry. It's a 3-game skid for the Cougs, and that's our top story of the day.
The top story of the day. The biggest story in the world of BYU sports right here on Cougar Tracks.
99-92. Oklahoma State puts up 58 points in the second half to take down BYU in Stillwater. It was a sloppy game from the opening tip for BYU. They tied it up at the half, 41-41, after A.J. DeBonsa had a hammer dunk down the middle of the lane, part of his 36-point night. And you thought in that moment, okay, second half Cougs are going to shine bright. They did not. Defensively, BYU was an utter mess against Oklahoma State. And this is one of the toughest losses of the season. In fact, this is the worst loss of the year. In the big picture of things, it's not the end of the world because on the surface, if you just look at a team sheet, quad one loss, not that big of a deal. But anyone watching this BYU team knows there are some issues, particularly on the defensive end. They've got to get right. Offensively, I kind of excused it a little bit because I always thought BYU's offense can win the day. You get 92 points, that should be good enough. 71 points from the big three, that should be good enough. Defensively, though, they were a problem. And the slow start showed up once again. 8 turnovers by the under 12 media timeout. AJ was part of that. He had 4 of those turnovers early on. 10 total turnovers combined between AJ and Rob Wright. That's not going to get it done. BYU was too sloppy with the basketball, 16 turnovers. Oklahoma State scored 21 points off those turnovers. For Oklahoma State, Anthony Roy put up a 30-piece, and then Jalen Curry looked like he was Steph Curry at times with the reverse layup, the ability to make big shots, big plays. Oklahoma State was 7 of 21 from 3, but it felt like their 7 threes were big-time shots, some backbreakers. I think in the second half, there was a stretch there coming out of the under 8 timeout. It's 71-64. Oklahoma State's up. Coleman for Oklahoma State misses 2 free throws. AJ knocks down a shot at 71-66. Oklahoma State on their next offensive possession, they miss a shot. BYU can't gather the rebound. They get the offensive board, Oklahoma State. They kick it out to Roy. Buries a 3, 74-66. BYU just never had an answer. They never could take a hold of this game. They just couldn't. And I thought on the glass, BYU, even though the total rebounds would say 34-34, I thought Oklahoma State was the more physical team. I thought they were the more intense team. They were the team that had more to gain, it seemed like. BYU, a lot to gain in that spot. That was a quad one opportunity. And the problem now for BYU is that seeding is impacted by this game and how BYU's playing. Again, it's only a quad one loss, so it's not the end of the world. BYU drops to 17 in the net rankings, but now you're starting to get into that territory where you're outside a protected top 16 seed, which is the top 4 seeds in a given region. Once you get outside those protected seed lines, then you're starting to get to 5, 6 territory, and that's where no Sunday play can impact the seed line for BYU. Sometimes the no Sunday element can lead you to a great geographical spot like Denver, or 2 years ago, it drops you from what you are a 5 seed down to a 6 seed because you can't fit into the bracket. If you're in the top 16 protected seeds, the Sunday conversation really doesn't get entertained by the selection committee. That's why seeding is so important. And for this BYU team, with the talent at the top of the roster, getting a 5 or a 6 seed, that's disappointing. And look, you can always make a run. I get that. But this BYU team is not looking like a group right now, particularly on the defensive end, that they're going to make a run. It feels like their ceiling has been lowered after this loss, and that's concerning. You can always turn it around. And Kevin Young's team last year and this year, similar spots. Mid-season, dog days of the year, you're having a little bit of a lull. They're going through it right now. And when Kevin Young looks down at his bench, there's not much to turn to. There's just not. And the starting lineup piece, I'm okay with changing up a starting lineup. You know, maybe Kennard Davis for Hadim Boop. I'd be okay with that, but that doesn't guarantee that BYU's play is going to be suddenly improved. I do think initially in the start of games, Boop can give you more on the glass, and he showed a little bit more shooting the 3 ball as well, that maybe he can give you a little bit of offensive firepower too. Kennard Davis, 8 points, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 of 7 from the field. Not terrible performance from Moo. Early on, though, he had some misses in the game. I mean, at that first media timeout, it's 4-2 in this game, and yet it ends up 99-92. Crazy how it played out. But there's no clear cut as day, oh, this is the starting lineup that will fix the woes, because Kevin Young would have implemented that starting lineup. I think he's very hungry to want to make a change to the starting 5 because he knows these slow starts are killing this team and it's putting them behind the 8 ball. And you went into a crowd once again that was super hyped up and energized to take you down. BYU is not responding well to that at all. BYU is a circled opponent with a superstar like AJ. Fans are going to want to take down BYU. And to waste away a great game from AJ, who I thought, outside of the early turnovers, had an outstanding game. He looked every bit the part of a number 1 NBA draft pick. And once again, this notion that AJ is just plummeting down draft boards, pump the brakes. Now, going back to the fans, though, the Oklahoma State fans had some chants, and you could hear the word Mormons on the TV broadcast. I wasn't in Stillwater, obviously. I was at home watching the game on TV, and Eric Bailey from the Tulsa World captured in the press conference in the postgame. Kevin Young addressed those chants from Oklahoma State students and fans.
Just there was some F the Mormons chants tonight by the student section that I heard. And, you know, it's a great win for Oklahoma State University. Their fans should be proud. But it would be great if you know, some class was warrant, you know, in there as well. You know, I got 4 small kids at home. You know, I'm a Mormon. When I go home, they're going to ask me about it. Same way they asked me about it last year at Arizona. There's just too much hate in the world to be saying stuff like that. We got enough problems in our world without going at people's religion and beliefs and, like, whether it's in vogue or not. And we don't even have our whole teams. We only have probably 4 or 5 guys who are even Mormon on the team. I understand what we represent, but even for a guy like AJ, you know, like, that stuff is unwarranted. And like I said, man, like, you know, I try to talk to our guys about being examples in the world. Like, we can use basketball to really just bring people together and not tear people apart. It's something we talk about a lot. And it's just disappointing. So I hope someone prints that. I hope it's in bold on someone's publication, and just try to maybe together as a society we can just help the world kind of move forward and not divide each other and with hate and things that's really nonsensical. Thank you.
Like that commentary from Kevin Young and Jackson Payne from the Deseret News. He also shared Eric Bailey's video as well. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark issued a statement on Thursday morning. The Big 12 Conference is aware of and is investigating reports of inappropriate chants that occurred during last night's BYU-Oklahoma State men's basketball game. All parties have been notified. The conference has zero tolerance for behavior of this nature and will address the matter in accordance with Big 12 sportsmanship policies. I want to play a clip from the Big 12 football championship game back in December. It was before the kickoff. The context here was before BYU football versus Texas Tech. Commissioner Yormark addressed the media, and he was asked a question about derogatory chants that BYU football has received. That was from Colorado and from Cincinnati, and what Commissioner Yormark is going to do to fix this sort of situation in the future. This was Yormark back in December about those chants, and I play this now because maybe you can see what his tone is going forward with what Kevin Young said that he experienced at Gallagher-Iba Arena.
We have zero tolerance for it, and it starts with me, both on a personal and professional level. Zero tolerance. And the folks at BYU are very much aware of that. I spent a lot of time with Shane and Brian. BYU has been a fantastic addition to this conference, and they have created enormous value for the Big 12. And there is zero tolerance for any chance like that. I want to make that crystal clear. And we do have a sportsmanship policy, and our schools must abide by it. Having said all that, we are going to come together as 16 institutions following this football season and figure out how we can get better. It's about changing behavior, and we will do that.
It's just disappointing that BYU has to go through this. Any team that's a faith-based institution, if there was chance, but it just seems like it pops up all the time with bleep the Mormons. And look, I've seen Oklahoma State fans say, ref's a Mormon. Look, even that chant, you could say, why are you throwing in the word Mormon if that was the case? I just think that leave out people's ethnicity, their gender, their religion. Leave that out of any chance. Make it about the game. If you want to boo AJ and say he's overrated, you want to say BYU sucks, go ahead and do that. Again, I've said before, I think college is an opportunity for people to educate themselves and have life lessons and learn things and get better. And but I like that Kevin Young just said, you know what? This happened. I'm sick of it. And I liked it because usually BYU doesn't do that. They let these sort of statements come out, and I liked it. I thought that it was great that Kevin Young said it. So it's unfortunate that this is happening. This third time in the conference season or academic year that a conference member has had these sort of chants, and it's had to be looked into by the Big 12. Fourth time since Kevin Young became the head coach. He dealt with it. BYU football dealt with it with Colorado, with Cincinnati. Kevin Young and BYU basketball dealt with it at Arizona last year, and now this time with Oklahoma State. But still, Oklahoma State deserves credit. It's a good team. I'd said it yesterday. Steve Lutz is building something special with Oklahoma State, and they're in the mix now on the bubble, and they're in the conversation to be an NCAA tournament team. So huge win for them. Maybe that ignites that program and gets them rolling and gets that fan base energized for Oklahoma State basketball, because, again, I want to see Oklahoma State hoops get back on track and be the successful program that their history has shown them to be. Let's take a break. On the other side, you'll hear my conversation with BYU football head coach Kalani Sitake next here on Cougar Tracks. BYU football just wrapped up signing day for the class of 2026, and to talk about the class and the upcoming season ahead, I'm joined now by the reigning Big 12 Coach of the Year, heading into his 11th season with the BYU football program, head coach Kalani Sitake. And, Coach, how would you summarize the busy weeks that this has been since the Pop-Tarts Bowl to now?
Good to see you, Mitch. Honestly, I feel like the last year, after not having any issues with staff or having to replace anybody, I thought that was maybe I took it for granted, but getting guys hired and making sure they're the right fit. I think there's a lot of people that can definitely do it with football, but like seeing the perfect fit is going to be the key. And that's, I think we were able to do that. I first started with K-Pop being the defensive coordinator. I knew that that's who I wanted to do it from the beginning. And I had a feeling like I had to do my due diligence, which is talk to other people. And The more I did, the more it kept coming right back to him. So it was pretty easy transition for me to get that going, and just really thankful that he's able to do such a great job. And then we worked on putting together staff and in the right positions and all that. And I feel like at some points it seemed like it was a long process, but I think we had to do everything we could to make sure that we're in the right spot. While that's all going on, we're trying to retain our players and trying to bring in the new freshmen that are starting mid-year, and even the return missionaries that are coming back from mission. So nothing was easy, but I'm thankful that I have a great staff to help me do all of this, and it was good. I mean, I thought it was a really good experience for everybody. I think we're in a really good spot right now as a program, feeling really good about where we're headed and the direction everything's going.
What gave you so much confidence in Coach Papinga that he would be the right man to lead the defense and call it? And I asked that because he just hasn't been a defensive coordinator yet. What did you see in him that made you say that's the right guy?
Well, I've stayed in touch with him throughout his whole coaching career, and then when I had the opportunity to hire him, I've watched him closely, and I've spent a lot of time with him, not just on special teams, but overall defensive scheme, philosophy, and he and I share a lot of the same things. And when you're talking about calling a game, it's all collaborative, anyways. When Jay had his heart attack a couple of years ago, we had to kind of shift to doing it as a group, and even trying to get Jay back to full health, where we had to kind of rely on that. And then we've kind of kept the same system in place, and so the collaboration has been the key with all the guys that are involved. And so keeping that in mind, I think that was a really good system that we had in place. And then knowing that K-pop would want to keep doing it that way, and then trying to find out, with his instincts and what he knows as a player, how he can get this team set up right. And that's, with all the different positions and all the different things that we want to do with the front seven. Um, Jay, even though he was a coordinator, doesn't have a lot of experience with the front. And so having K-pop has experience with the front end, with the back end. I think it's going to go really well. And that's why the guys that he hired, bringing in Demario Warren to do the passing game coordinator, and to work with the safeties, and then bringing Lewis Walker in as a cornerback coach who played for me when I was coordinating. So I've known Lewis and I've known Demo for a long time, and those guys are very capable. Demo was a coordinator at Southern Utah when Gennaro was working for him as a corners coach, so he was able to help mentor Gennaro along the way. And so now we basically get him here, who has coordinating experience and has a head coaching experience. So that is great to have that in the room, and then to have that with Lewis, who also has been a coordinator at a high level, and the FCS level, and seeing that he's coached at powerhouse like North Dakota State, that North Dakota State wanted to bring him back again. I mean, he was recently at North Dakota State, and so he would have two. If we didn't hire him, he'd be his second stint at North Dakota State right now. So having those guys connecting with the players and connecting with the front that we see from Sione Boha and K-pop and Chad Kaha'a, I think puts us in a really good spot. And with the players that are returning and the incoming freshmen and the incoming portal players, I think we're in a really good situation right now.
And while you were, pursuing Coach Papinga and bringing together this defensive staff, in early January, there was a 2-week transfer portal rush. And I bring that up because just different in the terms of the offseason calendar. What were your thoughts on that 2-week compressed new transfer portal window? Do you like that spot? Do you want to see it maybe move in the future? Just your early returns on that compressed transfer portal window and only having one this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of opinions around it. I just go with whatever they give us. And so if it's one transfer portal time slot and then another one later, or if there's only one the entire time, we just try to find a way to make it work. The difficulty in that is when you're dealing with trying to get guys in school, trying to work the transfer portal. I think the more difficult position is for the guys that are still playing, those in the playoffs and those that are playing later bowl games. But if you're really working your team and you're really communicating with your players, there's going to be some attrition already. So it's getting ahead of that, regardless of when the transfer portal happens, and then trying to take advantage of the guys that are in the portal that can help your team. So I think when you're dealing with teams that are bought into revamping their whole entire roster and bringing in over 30 guys, I don't know if it will ever be that, but I can see the intrigue and the interest in doing that. But I think we've got to develop guys, and some teams don't have a choice. If their team all leaves and they have to go to the portal and figure out a way to get them in. Fortunately for us, we were able to retain a lot of our players and a lot of players that played and have a lot of experience, and then we will combine that and complement that with a bunch of guys that I think can really help us and compete for playing time.
And on the offensive side, in terms of retention, you bring back L.J. Martin and Bear Bachmeyer. Those guys, you don't need to say any more. I mean, they're excellent football players, going to be leaders. I'm curious though, Kalani, at this time of the calendar signing day, depth's always a conversation. How do you feel about the depth behind LJ at running back and the depth behind Bear at quarterback heading into spring?
Yeah, I feel good about the depth behind LJ. The difficult part is that LJ got hurt, and so does Sione Moa. So now that taps into your depth, and then you got to look at other guys that are playing. I mean, Enoch Nawahine played for us there, but we were able to see the emergence of Jovesa Damuni, Preston Rex. We have some other guys that can play in that position. So there's a lot of quality there. The key is to get LJ back healthy and ready to roll, and he'll be there, and then Sione will be there too. So we've done that, and we've also added some guys from high school. I mean, Devon's going to be really good there too. So and then Jovesa had a really good bowl game. So I think they're capable. They have a great coach in Harvey Unga, and they have a great coordinator in A-Rod. So I feel like the depth will be good. It's always hard when you lose your top two guys, and then the other side of that is that how fast do we bring Sione back, because we have an opportunity to redshirt him. So that's what we did with him, redshirt him. So he'll go back to being a sophomore for us. So that's good, and we just got to get him healthy, and he'll get there by the time we get to August. The key is that he's got experience already, and now that Jovesa has some valuable experience, and we mix that with the incoming guys, I think it will be really good.
I wanted to ask you
that
too.
quarterback position. Trace and Bourget has always been solid for us there. Obviously, we wanted a lot of the reps for Bear so we can get him to develop and come along. But Enoch Watson's going to be really good for us there too. So maybe room for one more to bring on the roster at quarterback. But we really feel good about those three and what their capabilities are. So with Bear being now a returning starter, we can have more time to develop all the other guys and have them find their niche, specifically Enoch Watson and having Trace and Bourget. Feel like if something did happen, we need to rely on those guys that can help us go in there and help win a championship.
I think back, Kalani, to a conversation we had. It was at Big 12 Media Days in Vegas in 2024. And I remember you pointed out that you wanted to build that quarterback factory and get this thing going to where, yes, in your reference, I remember it was, sometimes there were guys that would wait some time, but it was a factory that BYU had at the quarterback position. And looking at what you've built, Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall, Keaton Slovis in the NFL, Retzloff had success. Now Bear Bachmeyer, and now the future too with Enoch Watson and Ryder Lyons, who signed. I'm curious your thoughts on Ryder, because we didn't get a chance to talk about him in December. Your thoughts on him and just the overall health of this position and what's been built up with Coach Roderick and this offensive staff.
Well, and I think when you mentioned Ryder and what he can bring to the table, everybody knows what he can do. So I think the key will be when he gets home from his mission, how he's quickly able to adapt. I think he'll be fine. He's got the ability to throw the ball. I mean, Enoch served his mission. I want to say he was in Chile, but he it's like when he got home, he's able to throw the ball, and so I mean, he don't lose it. And I think these guys find ways to find a football, some places, and everybody knows how to catch a ball. So they're going to have people that can throw to on P-Day and stuff like that. But he'll be ready to go. I think we're also forgetting Emerson Gauman and his abilities too. So he's on his mission in Brazil. Those guys, when they come back, they'll be ready to roll. Maybe not physically, but mentally, and being able to connect with the brotherhood and the team dynamic of our team, of our program. I think they're going to be just fine. So it's a healthy room. This room, maybe we can use one more. We'll see.
Looking at the roster and how the roster construction comes to be, like how many guys are you going to have on the team? I know that the cap is 105, but with the DSAs being grandfathered with, designated student athletes and walk-ons, like how many players do you envision having next fall?
Yeah, the roster will be 105. The DSAs will be not counted, but I don't see us being uh too many. I mean, I think in a normal year before all the roster cuts happened that it was 123. I don't think we'll be that high. I think we'll be if I'm guessing, probably be around 112 to 115 maybe, and then eventually the DSAs will be kind of graduating, moving on, and then the roster will fit and be settled on 105. So that's what everybody has to do right now, and that's just the rules. But there's going to be more seats in the locker room, and that's fine. That's kind of how the rules are now. So we only are available to handle 105 and maybe 8 to 10 DSAs.
Last thing for you, Kalani, with this transfer portal class, seems like impactful guys that have connections to this program. I'm curious in particular about, Kedu Luave and Walker Lyons and even Paki Finau. Finau's been a name we've heard for many years. Just maybe the impact that those three in particular could have right away.
Yeah, all these guys have started before, and in the recruiting process, they want to be here at BYU, and not just because of football, but they want to be here for a bunch of reasons. And one is the university, the community of players that want to be connected to the team, even the fans. That's been a really big part of the experience here. So, yeah, that's been the key. But those guys can all play ball, man, and it's not just depth. We're looking for guys that can come in and play for us right away. We feel like in a lot of ways we lost a lot of seniors that it's hard to say goodbye to those guys, but we found some really good people that can compete for the starting spots and compete for the playing time and the production that those guys have given us. I mean, you look at like Carson Ryan, for example. We love that what he's able to do for us in tight end position, and that's with a quarterback that's still trying to feel his way through as a true freshman here with Bear. But Carson gave us a lot of production. I feel like we can go to that position now with everything that we have there, not just with Kian and with Noah and others that are in that position, but now we have the arrival of Walker Lyons and now Roger Saleapanga. Those guys that have played and started and played a lot of reps at their respective schools with USC and Oregon. I think there's enough now for us to do some really good things, some cool things with the playbook. We can do a lot of whatever. It's pretty much open. We're not tied to just trying to run the ball and try to bring a freshman along. He's a veteran now. Now we can really open it up and find ways to get points on the board, and that's with all the different talent that we have. And then defensively, we got a lot of talent too that we can do defensively with our scheme. But yeah, special teams, all three phases, I feel like can be in a really good spot by the time we get to the fall.
Cannot wait. Spring football around the corner and then fall camp. And before we know it's another season of BYU football. Kalani, appreciate the time and congrats on the 2026 class and looking forward to spring ball here coming up soon.
Love you, Mitch. Appreciate it. Go Cougs.
That's BYU head football coach Kalani Sitake. And that's going to do it for this edition of Cougar Tracks. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, and I'll talk to you tomorrow here on Cougar Tracks, since powered by KSL Sports.